I'm recording this session now. Well, so today we're going to be working in our second class of the week of the intermediate two. It's only one class. It's going to be super simple. I'm going to start with a very simple question. Look, the question is, how would you, we just here it's 1-0. How would you describe your neighborhood? What is the name of your neighborhood in Medellin? What is
El
the name?
barrio,
What is the name of your neighborhood?
Villas del Sol,
Villas del Sol, okay. Is that in the center, in the west, in the east,
in the
or
north.
in the north? Okay, very good. Is it like a how? Well, I mean, like, is it like high class, middle class, low class neighborhood?
Uh, I don't know, between low class and middle class.
It's like a popular neighborhood.
Yes,
Okay, okay, very good. But is it mainly residential, or it has like another use?
no, it's the neighborhood have house, independent house.
Okay, very good. So it's mainly residential.
Not a residential or administration. No,
Okay, got it. Very good. That's it.
don't have.
Perfect, very good. So I mean, it's residential, but houses, not apartments, but houses, right?
Yes,
Okay, very good. Well, so how would you describe your neighborhood? If I say, hey, how's your
mm,
neighborhood? How would you describe your neighborhood, Villas del Sol?
uh, my neighborhood mm, is mm, is quiet, but in the sense of the security.
Okay, got it. So it's quiet and safe, you know?
Yes, but sometimes it's very noise.
Okay, very good. So it's
Sometimes.
safe, but sometimes get noisy. Anything else? Any other details about your neighborhood?
Mm, no.
No, that's it. Okay, very good. So is it big?
Excuse me, teacher.
Is it big?
Yes,
Yeah,
more or less.
more or less. Okay, very good. So, and well, I don't remember which is the north part of Medellin, but is it like flat or it's in the mountain part?
The mountain part.
Okay, got it. Very good. So, it's beautiful, no? So, I mean, there are it's very, I would say, colorful, right?
Yes.
Is it colorful? Okay, very good. Bueno, and so in this case, you made some descriptions, which of course are a little bit like complex, no? Like we you say, like it's quiet and safe, but sometimes gets noisy, no? So the vocabulary that you are using here, it's already not so basic, no está tan básico, it's a little bit more advanced. So you use good vocabulary. But here you have some ideas, but alone, loose. Yes, so they are loose, o sea, they están sueltas, right? I'm going to present the description of my neighborhood, and then you tell me what you think. Well, help me to read, my dear Andrew. Read the first paragraph, and I read the second one.
My neighborhood is a place where people can walk their dogs because it is a place which has three consecutive parks that make a very big park. There is enough space for people who share with pets, but also for those who share with families.
Exactly, very good. So I am having a more complex description, not because I'm using more complex vocabulary. No, the vocabulary is basic, but it's because I am matching my ideas together. I am putting my ideas together. I am connecting my ideas. So, in that case, I'm saying first, I am describing that my neighborhood is a place. En caso que alguien no sepa, digo, mi barrio es un lugar, ¿no? So, para definirlo, so my neighborhood, it's a place. And then I start introducing exactly the characteristic. It's a place where the people can walk their dogs because it has three different parks. Park number one, park number two. Well, it has three different parks that make a very big park. Yeah. And I'm saying that there is enough space for people who share with pets and also for people who share with families, no? So I'm describing some descriptions or some characteristics of my neighbor. Then I introduce the second paragraph with the expression nevertheless. Nevertheless, there are other people who don't take care of the space where they are and they affected when they spend some time there, right? So in the first part, I give some positive aspects. It's good, it's big, it has a space for people, it has a space for pets, right? In the second part, I introduce the second paragraph using nevertheless. Do you remember what is the meaning of nevertheless?
Los vecinos.
No, those are the
Hmm.
neighbors. These are the neighbors.
Ah, okay.
Neighbors. But nevertheless is a connector. Do you know what is the meaning of nevertheless?
Sin embargo.
Sin embargo, very good. So I introduce nevertheless, and then the second paragraph is not about positive things. It's going to be about negative things, bad
Yes.
aspects about the neighborhood, right? So I am introducing first good things, then I am introducing bad things. But in this case, my ideas are not loose, no están sueltas, they are all together. Hmm? If you can notice in the text, I use a lot WH. Who, where, which, when, yes. I am using these kind of expressions because these words, they work as connectors. Connectors that help me to, of course, connect two different ideas. The idea number one, which is also related with the idea number two. But the connector, which is here at WH, is going to permit to put two ideas together and create one big idea. Ready? So in
Yes.
that case, we're going to have other expressions like, for example, that, which is similar, and other different kind of connectors, connectors of contrast, connectors like this one, which is nevertheless, it's going to connect one paragraph with the other paragraph, but it's also a connector, right? So in that case, what we're working about today from this class on, yes, it's how can we connect ideas in different ways. Today we start with two different ways. First, using the WH words, right? And second, using the connectors of contrast. Like for example, nevertheless, or for example, however. Do you remember what is the meaning of however?
No es tan bien como sin embargo.
Exactly, it's a synonym of nevertheless, right? So it's a synonym of that word, right? So what we see in this case is that we are going to have two sentences connected with one relative clause. The relative clauses are going to be the WH words, the WH words, and they have a specific purpose. When we talk about who or that, it's because we are talking about people. When we talk about which or that, it's because we are talking about things or also places, right? Things that are not human. Todo lo que sea no humano, not human. Ready? And when I talk about place, I'm talking about places, but from a different perspective, right? South, east, and west. Entonces, I'm talking about places, but with which and with where, in both cases, I can mention places. The difference is that when I say where, I am talking about something that happens in that place. For example, my neighborhood is a place where people can walk their dogs. Yeah. So in that case, it's donde la gente, donde ta ta ta. Yes, donde something happens when I use where. When I use which, I am going to introduce a characteristic of that place. For example, my neighborhood, it's a place which is very big. I am talking about something that happened. No, I am talking about a characteristic. So in that case, I'm talking that my neighborhood is a place, el cual, which is very big. So en ambos casos puedo usarlo para lugares, pero para usos diferentes. In one moment, it's saying un lugar donde, en el otro es un lugar el cual. So it's a big difference. And when we have the option with when, it's for describing moments or situations or simply time. Ready? Just talking about situations, right? For example, going back into the other example, we said they affect the neighborhood when they spend some time there. So I am introducing when because I am talking about a moment. So that's why I introduce when, right? In this case, the idea is that we have these relative sentences or the relative clauses or relative pronouns in order to, as I said before, match two ideas. Ready? Match two ideas. But depending the category of the idea, I am going to have the possibility to do it using one relative or the other relative clause. This taking into account something that we saw recently, the defining and non-defining relative clause. Yes, cláusulas definitorias y no definitorias, defining and non-defining relative clause. ¿Te acuerdas más o menos de qué era eso? We saw it in the intermediate one, more or less.
Yes, teacher. Defining clauses are clauses where you can defining uh, mm, a person or a thing.
Exactly like that. So they are things or they are sentences in which I can define a person or a thing, right? Something like that. So in this case, in the example of the neighborhood, I have one defining clause, and it's only the first one. Yes, the first one says, my neighborhood is a place. In that moment, I am defining my neighborhood. I'm saying that my neighborhood is a place. And I'm saying that it's a place where the people can walk their dogs. That is the defining clause. Only that one. That's the only one that is defining, right? Because, oh, well, the second one too. It is a place which has three consecutive parts, right? So that is also defining. Also, I am introducing some basic information there, no? I use these defining clauses when I want to introduce the subject for the first time, something that you know. So in that case, what they do is that in that case, they are defining that my neighborhood is a place. As you can see, most of them with the verb to be, right? Is a place, is a moment. Yes, you know, it depends on that. So if I am talking about my neighborhood, of course, the first sentence, the first clause is going to be defining, and it's going to be is a place, is a neighborhood, is a big place, it's a location, is a region, is an area, any kind of noun that can identify a neighborhood. Yes, it's a locality, it's a district, you know, so any different nouns that can identify a neighborhood, right? Basically, of course, a place. But I can work with everything. For example, I'm saying, my brother is a man, my brother is a lawyer, my brother is a person, my brother is a worker, my brother is a professional. Any different word that can help me to define that subject. That's going to be the defining. So after that, I have the WH, depending what is, where, which, who, depending if it's a person or a place, and then the main information, ¿no? Ya sabemos que esa es de easy, use the defining clause structure, ¿no? Ya sabemos, like, subject, the first clause, the defining clause, and then, of course, the relative clause, no? So in that case, it's going to be, wait, let me just erase this part. It's going to be simply, as we have seen it, subject, the defining clause, it's a woman, it's a place, it's a night, ta, 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 ta. And then the second part, it's going to be the main information, o sea, what I really want to say, right? In this part, in the second information, we are going to have two possibilities. One, it's using a complete sentence, o sea, subject, verb, and complement. The other one, it's only using the verb and complement. ¿Cómo sé si tengo que usar la primera o la segunda? Bueno, muy fácil. Si el sujeto de la primera oración es el mismo de la segunda oración, no tengo que incluirlo. Simplemente uso verbo y complemento. But if the subject of the first sentence is different from the subject of the second sentence, then I have to specify both subjects. So I have to include subject in both sentences, right? For example, my neighborhood is a place where people can walk their dogs, right? So in that case, the subject is different. My neighborhood is the first. My neighborhood is a place where people can walk their dogs, right? So in that case, it's not necessary to introduce, it's necessary to introduce the second subject because it's different, right? But in the second sentence, I am saying it is a place which it has. So as it is the same, it and it, is not necessary to include it in the second sentence. I am just going to use the verb and that's it. So it is a place which has three consecutive parts, right? Because the subject is the same, it and also it in this case. But here, it's not necessary to include it. I can omit it. Ready? So in the second sentence, I have to take into account if the verb is the same or not. But sorry, if the subject is the same or not. Okay, Andre, vamos hasta ahí. Good.
Yes, teacher. I have a doubt, but with the particular day. Porque, por ejemplo, mi barrio es un lugar donde la gente, a mí, por ejemplo, se me dificulta, a uno se le dificulta mucho despegar porque uno cree que uno se pausa porque cree que debe incluir eso o no sabe si sí lo puede o no lo puede incluir. Entonces, por ejemplo, ahí yo veo que hay una oración muy completa que en ninguna parte lo utiliza, ¿cierto?
Yes.
Entonces, mi pregunta es esa, o sea, muchas veces la traducción no es tan literal. ¿Cuándo lo puede utilizar uno y cuándo no?
Yes, well, muchas veces, casi siempre la traducción no es tan literal, ¿no? Entonces, yes, muy bien. ¿Cuándo puedes usar? Te refieres a este y este, ¿sí? One and two.
No, me refiero a la partícula de.
Ah,
O,
ok, el artículo the. Yes?
ajá.
Ah, good. Ok, listo, perfecto. In that case, when I use the, you know that it has three different meanings. It means el, la, bueno, for, los, and las. It's a defining article. Es un artículo definido. Ready? In that case, when I'm talking about the, yes, it's specifically one of the pairs, one of the kind, un tipo o un sujeto específico de ese tipo, right? ¿En qué casos lo puedo usar? Cuando hablo de algo que ya he mencionado previamente, ¿ready? O cuando es algo específico. Por ejemplo, people no lleva artículo, simplemente gente, ¿yes? Pero si yo quiero ser un poco más específico y quiero decir la gente en Colombia, ahí sí, I would say the Colombian people, ¿yes? O por ejemplo, si yo quiero decir soccer, no es the soccer, sino simplemente soccer, ¿ready? Generalmente cuando tengo conceptos generales como llámese fútbol, religión, política, no sé, something like that, let's call about the religion, right? Esos conceptos generales no llevan artículo, pero cuando son más específicos, ahí sí. Por ejemplo, the European soccer. Ahí sí incluyo that. The Eastern, o sea, oriental, the Eastern religion. ¿Ready? Ahí sí, como estoy hablando de una específica, ahí sí usa el that. ¿Ready? Otro caso en el que puedo usar
Okay.
that, cuando ya mencioné, por ejemplo, cuando estoy, no sé, contando un cuento, por ejemplo. The first time that I listen, it's like no sé, I saw a lion. La primera vez que lo menciono con el artículo indefinido, que es a, o sea, uno, cualquiera, no sabemos. La segunda vez que lo menciono ya no es uno cualquiera, ya es definido, o sea, ya va a ser the lion, ¿cuál? No cualquiera, el que había mencionado previamente. Entonces, ese artículo the, ¿sí? Es para dos tipos de ocasiones, cuando estoy hablando de algo muy específico o cuando estoy hablando de algo que pues ya mencioné y por lo tanto sigue, se vuelve más específico. Entonces, en general es un artículo definido porque estoy hablando de un sujeto definido, no cualquiera, sino uno en específico. ¿Ready?
Okay, teacher, thank you.
Muy bien, very good. ¿Viste un ejemplo aquí que me dijiste que viste un ejemplo, pero no sé cuál, my dear?
No, estaba diciendo que en el ejemplo pues no está por ninguna parte, pues digamos que uno lo entiende leyéndolo en inglés, pero si uno lo va a construir desde el inicio, para yo decir mi barrio es un lugar donde la gente, entonces ahí me entra la duda,
Ah,
porque
ok,
no
sí.
incluyo el da.
Good. Igual, de todas maneras, bueno, para nosotros como personas que hablamos español, es muy difícil quitarle ese the, porque pues nosotros sí decimos las personas, la gente. Entonces, es como instintivo que uno le coloque el that. Ahora, que si es un gran problema, no, realmente no es un gran problema. Incluso a nosotros como teachers también igual a veces le pasa a uno como que vas hablando rápido y le incluye el de y that's it, ¿no? No es gran problema, pero pues es como que la regla dice esto, pero pues igual si uno lo
Ah,
incluye
ok.
ahí.
Pero por lo general después del el who o which no lleva eso.
No,
Normalmente va así directo.
yes,
Okay.
yes, exactly. Bueno, obviamente si estás como un grupo en específico, ahí sí, ¿no? For example, if I
Ujú.
say, no sé, my neighborhood is a place where kids can play. En ese caso, pues son los niños en general. Ready? But I can say, for example, my neighborhood is a place when the youngest kids, como estoy especificando que son los más jóvenes, entonces de it has
Ah, ya.
yes, ready? O sea, las mismas reglas que aplican en general aplican aquí también. Como si es específico, ahí sí incluyes el that. Si no es específico, si no es general, ahí no incluyes nada, no incluyes artículo. Ready?
Ok, teacher.
Bien. Excellent, excellent. Bueno. So in that case, we can have sentences like this. Sorry, no, not like this one. Like the other ones. Ready? Like, it's a place where people ta ta ta. It's a place which ha da da da. In that case, simply using defining and then. Those sentences usually are going to be the first. Yes, the first sentence, usualmente, right? Because of course, those sentences are introducing the subject. So generally, this kind of sentence are going to be the first that I mentioned, las primeras que menciono, right? Then after that, I am going to introduce other different sentences, which also include important information. But in this time, the first part or the first sentence, yes, is not going to be defining like this one. Yes, I can have other kind of expressions. For example, there is enough space for people. Yes. Then I introduce another connector, but this connector this time is not going to be about the subject. This connector can be also about the object. Yes, because when I say there is enough space for people who share with pets and also for those who share with families. Cuando digo who share with pets and who share with families, ¿a quién me refiero? ¿Al lugar o a las familias?
Eh, mm, bueno, el primer who es a las personas.
Exactly. So it's referring to the people. And the second one too, el segundo también. So
Yes.
in that case, it's not referring to the place, ¿sí? Hay otra información cuya conexión más adelante no se conecta con el sujeto, como en este caso, como el anterior, sino con el objeto. ¿Ready? Entonces, there is going to be another kind of sentence. A ver, vamos a pasar por acá. Wait. In which the sentence that we connect is not about, perdón, is not about the subject, but it's about the object. This, for example, I don't know, I'm saying, Andrea is my subject. Andrea lives in May, where people, um, where people have metro. ¿Será que la información que incluye es acerca de Andrea? Oh,
Excuse me, teacher.
do you think that this information that we have here, it's about you or it's about the city?
No, it's about the city.
It's about the city. So the information that we can include a veces es sobre el sujeto, pero a veces es sobre el objeto, ¿no? Entonces, antes yo hubiera podido decir, Andrea is a woman who is also a environmental engineer. I see the information is about the subject. But in this case, no. In this case, I'm saying Andrea lives in Medellin where people have metro, or Andrea lives in Medellin, which is a city very charming, ¿no? Enchanting or charming, ¿no? Which is como encantadora. So, Andrea lives in Medellin, which is a charming city. Good. So, in that case, I'm talking about the city. Ready? Andre, read the first example, the yellow one.
Teacher, excuse me. Always before WH should include comma.
No, not always, not necessarily.
Not always.
No, not always. Depends on the
In the example, no.
in this example, yes, but it's an
No,
option depending.
in the last example of
In this one,
the
no. In
before.
this one, it's not necessary, no, because it's very connected to the two ideas, no? So depends on the
Okay.
like on the situation of the writing part, no? Not necessary always. It's possible, but it's not necessary, right?
Okay. I don't go to cold place where you need more clothes.
Exactly. So in that case, where it's not referring to I, it's referring to the places, no? So I don't go to good places where you need more clothes. Very good. Next.
My friends enjoy to walk at night when the streets are lonely.
Mm-hmm. So
What
when
is the streets? Streets,
the
las
streets, las
calles.
calles, yes. And
Okay.
lonely, it means solitarias.
Hmm.
Ready? So my friends enjoy to walk at night when is a when making reference to the object. In this case, is night, no? When the streets are lonely, right? Easy, easy peasy. And well, the other one, the last one, my dear.
They love horror movies, which are very disturbing.
Exactly. When I say which are very disturbing, ¿quiénes son los que son como perturbadores? ¿Mis amigos o las películas? ¿My friends
Las
o
películas.
las películas, of course? So in that case, making reference to the object, not to the subject, but in this case, to the object. Ready?
Okay.
Entonces, I have two different kinds of situations. When I introduce subject and information about the subject, and also when I introduce information about the object. Ready? This information, it's direct. It's very important about the subject or the object, but well, it's going to be direct. Ready? On the other hand, I have the non-defining clauses, which are introducing complementary information. Eso también ya lo vimos, pero vamos a ver más ejemplos. Ready? So remember that the non-defining clauses are going to be simply clarifications or specifications about that subject. Ready? So, for example, I'm saying that Villa del Sol. ¿Sí es Villa del Sol, Villa del Río? No, Villa del Sol, right?
Villa del Sol.
Good. Entonces, maybe, I don't know, Villa del Sol, que, what is that? Ah, Villa del Sol, which is a neighborhood in the north of Medellín, ¿cierto? In that case, I specify what is Villa, que yo no sabía que era eso. Entonces, Villa del Sol, which is a neighborhood in the north of Medellín, comma, is very safe, but sometimes noisy. That it was the description that you made, no? So in that case, the idea is that we introduce, when we talk about not defining clauses, aquí sí it's necessary, it's mandatory to use the commas. And between the commas, I introduce the complementary clarifying or specific information that I want to specify or that I want to clarify. Yes? So I'm saying like, okay, vea, Villa del Río is very safe and noisy. Okay, pero ¿qué es Villa del Río? Villa del Río, which is a neighborhood in north of Medellin, is very safe but noisy. So in that case, these clauses, the non-defining clauses, sorry, allow me to clarify something about the subject, right? It can be about a place, it can be about a moment, it can be about whatever that I want. It can be also about a person, right? So, for example, I can say, I don't know, let's say one celebration, one celebration. When is the day of when is the Women's Day in Colombia? May, March?
8th of March.
March 8th. This is March 8th when Women's Day is celebrated. Women's Day is celebrated. I am clarifying, yes, what is celebrated on that day, comma and comma at the beginning, comma at the end. So March 8th, when Women's Day is celebrated, is an international celebration, or it's an international commemoration, actually, because it's not celebration, right? So it's commemoration, right? But in the middle, I introduce that date that I mentioned before, it's when the Women's Day is celebrated. Is okay, I am clarifying that. Estoy aclarando eso, right? So the not defining clauses permit to do that. A eso es que me ayudan a incluir ese tipo de claridades, right? How do you feel? Good?
Yes, teacher. I don't understand some. Mm, estoy comparando mucho como estas partes que me estás mostrando que van con coma, ¿cierto? Defining clause and no defining clause. With the example of neighborhood, because this example don't had a comma in the first paragraph.
In this one.
Yes.
Yes, because in this
Entonces, no,
case,
pero, o sea, no entiendo por qué, entonces cuando usted me dice que es defining clause o no defining clause, igual va la coma, pero acá no hay ninguna coma, y
yes.
sí hay defining clauses and no defining clauses.
Okay, defining, bueno, hasta acá, ¿no? Hasta parks.
Ajá.
¿Sí? Entonces,
Ajá.
pues ahí no hay necesidad de coma. Y aquí las otras que vienen son bueno, son clauses, pero acerca del objeto. Entonces ahí, digamos que el uso de coma es más opcional. Por ejemplo, aquí puede haber incluido una coma, ¿no? So, there is enough space for people who share with pets, porque voy a incluir otro conector después. Entonces ahí puede haber incluido una coma, ¿no? Of course. Pero aquí no hay non-defining clauses. En non-defining clauses, ahí sí tendría que ser obligatorio el uso de la coma. En estas que
O
te
sea,
muestro.
en defining clauses puede haber como no puede haber coma,
Exacto.
dependiendo. Si es
Ajá.
una frase corta, sí es necesario.
Y exacto. Entonces está, por ejemplo, aquí en la mitad de otro
Sí.
conector aparte, ahí pues es importante usar la coma como para la pausa, ¿no? Como para
Y en no defining sí es obligatorio.
en not defining, especialmente cuando tienes el who, o sea, tienes subject y luego la cláusula como aclaratoria. Porque hay un non-defining, hay un non-defining que es información sobre el objeto, como esto, ¿cierto? En ese caso, igual, es opcional, ¿sí? Puede que la incluyas, puede que no. Pero cuando es non-defining sobre el sujeto, es decir, sobre está el sujeto y luego tienes el non-defining ahí derechito, ahí sí es necesario que incluyas las dos comas, que son como, en este caso van a jugar el papel como de un paréntesis, ¿no? Como decir, este sujeto, el cual tiene esta información que estoy aclarando aquí, ¿listo? Pero en ese caso sí es obligatoria el uso de las comas, sino que, bueno, en este ejemplo no incluí ninguna non-defining, pero sí, podría ser también, ¿no? Entonces, por ejemplo, no sé, let's say, families, no sé, bueno, digamos, voy a continuar aquí el texto con la parte de las familias que mencioné. So I'm going to use, for example, families, las cuales tienen más de tres miembros, por ejemplo. Yes. So in that case, I'm going to use it's an specification. I'm saying families which have more than three people. No sé, can spend time, no sé qué, in the park, bla, bla, bla. Pero ahí sí sería necesario el uso de las comas porque es una non-defining sobre el sujeto, no sobre el objeto como nos pasó años anteriores. Right?
Yes, teacher.
Mhm. Yes, very good, but it's a good question. Bueno, basically that's the thing against the non-defining clause. Not, I mean, it's necessary to use it, not always, right? It's important, yes, because it's going to help me to introduce those little clarifications or those little information that help me to understand better the subject, right? So, but in that case, they are not necessary. For example, in this case, I didn't include any because actually I didn't find the opportunity. Now that you tell me, I found the opportunity there with families, but when I did the exercise, I didn't find the opportunity to do it. But okay, good. Bueno, so in that
Yes,
case,
teacher.
we have those three different cases of relative clauses, ready? So, wait. We have the relative clause, which is defining its subject, sentence number one, WH, sentence number two, that one is defining. Usually the verb is, ¿cierto? O bueno, is or are, verb to be, is a person, are people, and then the important information. Also, we have the non-defining sentence, but there is about the object, pardon. So the information is going to be making reference to the object, not to the subject, like in this case, which this information is about the subject, but this time this information it's about the object. Ready? In that case, it's a possibility or not to include comma. And the last one there, it's going to be the non-defining clause about the subject, yes? Then we have the WH over here, the clarification, and then the important information. This sentence is going to be always dedicated to the subject, and there it's necessary always the use of commas, right? Here is optional, here it is necessary because that it's separating the important information, right? And in the defining clause, well, it's not so important. It's not necessary to include the comma, and that's it. Ready? So those are the three different clauses, or the three different kinds of clauses that we can have. Okay, my dear?
Yes, teacher.
Perfect. That's it. What is the idea? The idea is that we can mix this kind of clauses in order to create a text which is more completed, right? Or more connected, right? I can make, of course, between the clauses, I can use commas or, sorry, periods, right? Or I can use semicolons. Semicolon, it means punto y coma, yes? In order to separate one clause from the other. Also, it's possible, no? Or sometimes, well, for example, here, I think that I should have put some, well, yes, I use more periods than commas, no? In English, is more common the use of periods and not so much of the commas. Different than in Spanish, no? In Spanish, we use a lot of commas. In English, it's more common to see sentence, maybe comma, another sentence, and period. So in English, we see a lot of periods, not so many commas, but the punctuation is also really important here, right? So I was going to tell you something. Bueno, so I am going to ask again, how is your neighborhood? How would you describe your neighborhood? Now try this time to start telling me like, teacher, my neighborhood.
Ay, teacher, excuse me, pensé que tenía el micrófono encendido y no. Teacher,
Don't worry, no problem.
my neighborhood is a place where people can be nice with other people. Um, and sometimes it's a place which uh, there are uh, something noise,
A little noise, a little noise.
a little noise.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's a place which not has parks and green zones.
Good. Which doesn't have, right? Which
Doesn't have.
doesn't have parks. You could say, como es negativo, puedes usar parks nor green areas. Nor significa ni tampoco, right? O sea, ni
Okay.
esto, ni tampoco. Yes, so it doesn't have parks nor green spaces or green areas, right? Green areas. Muy bien. Perfect. That's it. Anything else? Anything to include?
No.
That's it. Very good. And Andre, what is the most famous place in your neighborhood? The most famous place.
Well, my neighborhood isn't very big, so the most famous place maybe. is the school, the principal school of the neighborhood, maybe,
Mhm.
because it's a place where there are some events for the people of the neighborhood.
Very good. So in that case, you are describing two important informations about one place, no? So you said the main school, or let's say the school of the neighborhood, right? The school. And then you can make a clarification. Ahora, depends on you which is the important information and which is the clarifying information. I can say, for example, the school where many events happen, comma, is the most famous place of the neighborhood. Might be like that. Or I can do exactly the same, but giving more importance to the other information. I can say that, for example, the school, which is the most famous place in the neighborhood, ¿cierto? Is the place where is the place where the events happened, ¿cierto? So I can use both. Depende de qué. What do you consider the most important information and what do you consider the like secondary or complementary information? Ready? The complementary or the clarifying information is between the commas. That's the information that it's only for clarification. The other information, the one that is after that, it's going to be the one that we say that it's the main information, o sea, la más importante, right? Pero puede ser cualquiera de las dos, depende de ti, ¿listo? Entonces, ese tipo de datos también los puedes incluir en este tipo de descripciones usando las non-defining clauses, ¿vale? ¿Ready?
Okay, teacher.
Perfecto, that's it. Ahora, you tell me some positive aspects. It's a place where the people can be nice, where the people is it's pretty quiet, but oh my God, sorry. I did something bad. Here, yes. No, I erased everything. My God. Bueno, anyway, so it's a place where the people can be nice to the other people, ¿cierto? And you use but. Pero, yes, in that case, we have the connector but, which is going to help me to introduce something negative because I'm saying, okay, it's something good, pero it's something bad. This is one connector of contrast, right? It's a connector of contrast because it's contrasting one idea which is good with another idea which is bad, or the opposite, one idea that is bad with one idea that is good. For example, my neighborhood is very expensive, but the parks are very beautiful. For example, something like that. So something bad with something good, or something good with something bad. When we talk about ideas of contrast, is because the one idea is completely opposite to the second idea. Ready? For example, in your case, the neighborhood is beautiful and everything, pero it doesn't have parks, right? So it's something bad. Or green areas, nor green areas, right? So it's also bad. In this case, I can also introduce connections between ideas, but in that case, if I don't want to use a WH, I can have one of these connectors, the connectors of contrast. The connectors of contrast are going to be these connectors that we have here. As we know, the connectors can have two different parts. They can be at the beginning, using the sentence number one, the comma, and then the sentence number two, or they can be in the middle, depending the connector and depending my intention. Yes, if I have the connector in the middle, well, the use of the comma is not necessary. Ready? These these are seven connectors. Ready? These seven connectors are going to be divided in three different groups, which work differently. Ready? In the first group, despite and in spite of, it's a connector, which you know it means a pesar de. It's going to be followed only by a noun. O sea, siempre está seguido por un sustantivo, es decir, sin verbo. Ready? Por ejemplo, I could say, despite the price of the gasoline, despite the price of the gasoline, I use my motorbike. Very frequently, my motorbike, frequently. Yes. When I use despite or in spite of, que es lo mismo, I can only use a noun. In that case, I don't have a verb. No tengo verbo. Simplemente a pesar de el precio de la gasolina. Ahí no hay verbo. Simplemente hay un sustantivo. No hay una oración completa. Simplemente una cosa, un objeto. A pesar de esto, a pesar de lo otro, a pesar del clima, a pesar de eso. That's it. Ready? And of course, I'm saying that a pesar de que esto sea malo, es implícito, of course, I do another thing. Yes? O a pesar de esto, la otra opción pasa. Pero teniendo en cuenta que la otra opción, a pesar, pues es algo que no debería permitir lo otro, pero it's like that. So in that case, I use only a noun, únicamente un sustantivo, right?
Yes,
On,
teacher.
on the other hand, I have even though and although. Do you know what is the meaning of even though and although?
Ah, okay.
Aunque, muy bien, very good. Similar to however and nevertheless, in this case the sentence are complete. Aquí sí, the sentence are complete, o sea, subject, verb, and complement. Ready? But the sentence are complete, but they are subordinated one to the other. Están subordinadas una a la otra. For example, I'm saying that no sé, I love Bogota. I love Bogota, right? I love Bogota. Even though its weather is changing, no? So it's muy cambiante. So I love Bogota even though its weather is changing. One sentence, when I say I love Bogota, I'm saying, bueno, pues chévere, bacano, nothing happens, right? But then I introduce the other sentence. But if this sentence is, its weather is changing, solita no tendría ningún sentido. Porque digo su clima, pero el clima de quién? El clima de Bogotá. So it necessarily requires the other sentence to have complete sense. So in that case, when I use these two expressions, even though or although, they are contrasting, yes, but they are contrasting two ideas which are subordinated. O sea, una está subordinada a la otra, necesita una oración de la otra para poder tener sentido completamente. ¿Ready?
Yes, teacher.
Good. Perfect. Then we have the other three, which is however, nevertheless, and on the other hand. Is the same as even though and although, but in this case, both ideas are completely separated. Ready? Is that so that before usually we have a period and then we have a comma or a semicolon? Vamos a tener coma o punto y coma después. Ready? Sometimes it's for starting a sentence, algunas veces va después de punto seguido o algunas veces empieza el párrafo, como por ejemplo en el ejemplo del barrio, ¿cierto? Starts the example saying like, nevertheless, ta, 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 empezando el párrafo. O algunas veces empieza la idea después de un punto seguido, ¿ready? For example, I'm going to say that I love Bogota. I love Bogota. That's it, sorry, Bogota. On the other hand, then I am going to start another idea, una idea completamente nueva, pero contraria a la anterior. On the other hand, I would love to live in Medellin, right? So I would love to live in Medellin. So in that case, I'm saying, me gusta Bogotá, perfecto, listo. Me gustaría vivir en Medellín, listo, perfecto. Separadas tienen completo sentido, ¿cierto? Pero what I'm doing here is putting the ideas together and contrasting, ¿sí? O sea, pongo las dos ideas que separadas ya tienen sentido y las empiezo a contrastar, ¿cierto? Entonces, son ideas completas, pero completamente opuestas también entre sí, ¿ready? Pero por sí solas tienen sentido, no depende una de la otra, como si pasa con even though y although, right?
Yes, teacher.
So, in this case, we have 7 connectors. All of them are for talking about contrast. Contrast. O sea, one idea is good, the other idea is not that good. One idea is white, the other idea is black. So it's contrasting the two ideas. Depends on you, which one do you want to use? Depende el que quieras usar, right? ¿Quieres usar however, although, even though, despite? Okay?
Okay, teacher.
So Last time that I asked you, and this time let me just not talk about your neighborhood, but how would you how would you describe, oh sorry, how would you describe Medellin? How would you describe Medellin?
Uh, Medellin is a city where there are a, a, hmm, cultural diversity. There are many cultural diversity. However, the city has their cultural identified for the mm,
Wait,
very
wait.
well identified.
Wait, very well identified.
Identified. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, uh, as the food, the food is very paisa,
Yes, exactly.
and the accent of the people is very
Yes,
clear or identify.
yes, it's very marked.
Yes, it's very marked.
Uh-huh.
Um, Also, uh, it's a place where you can uh, visit many places of cultural interesting
Cultural interest.
interest.
Good.
Cultural interest, and the weather is very good.
Ah, very good. That's it. That's it. So in that case, you said, okay, so it's a city which has a very big variety or diversity, a cultural diversity. However, we have a like there is a sense of belonging. Sense of belonging means sentido de pertenencia, no? Sense of belonging. So you have very identified, like very well identified your culture, no? Ujú. Muy
Yes,
bien.
teacher.
Yes, exactly. So excellent, Andre. In this case, as you can
Mejor
see,
que al principio.
exactly. Eso te iba a decir. So you see, in that case, the description that you did in this moment is much more complete and it's better than the description that you did at the beginning. At the beginning, it was not about description. It's simply that the ideas were alone. Las ideas estaban solitas, sueltas. But now
Okay,
what you did, it's putting all those ideas together.
okay, teacher.
Ujú. Bueno, Andrew, muy bien. My dear, checkpoint of the week number 2, it's only one part. It's going to be spoken, ready? And it's a description of a story. I mean, it's like a detective that is asking you some questions. So you have to tell the detective a story. In the story, you have to do two things. One, describing one situation that it's like what could have happened in that situation because you just listen one noise and you don't know exactly what happened. So you start to speculate about what could have happened. Yes. And also describing a little bit like the person of the story. So saying like it's a person who blah blah blah, it's a person that blah blah blah. It was in a moment when I was doing something. So using also the relative clause, it's going to help you to introduce more details to the story. Okay, Andre?
Okay, teacher.
That's it. It's only one part. It's super short.
Okay, teacher.
Hmm.
Thank you very much.
Bueno, my dear. So have a good weekend. See you the next week. We have two classes, 3.1 and 3.2. So see you the next week, okay?
Okay, teacher. Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful night.
Good night, teacher.
Good night.
Bye
See you
bye.
soon. Bye.